How's it going, Victor? You have a very high definition camera, man. It's a good camera you got right there.
Thank you. I don't know if you've seen Gary Tam, I believe, from Initialize, one of our investors. He put out this, he's been doing this blogging, I guess, thing. And so he put out his guide for how to set up, like which camera to buy and like which, what you should get and whatever. And I just went, I picked like all the cheap options. I'm like, all right, give me this one. And I just followed his instructions to the dot and it looks like this. So I'm pretty happy with it.
It's gorgeous.
Spell his name for me.
Gary Tan, Tan, so Garry.
Okay. And can you reference the name of that post?
Yeah, I can
or
actually
generally, like,
second,
I don't need
yeah.
to. I'm just curious. I won't actually change my setup, but I have to read it.
Yeah.
Stop laughing at me, Michael. That's bullying.
Can't help it.
By the way, hello, Victor. We've been Victor and I've been kind of chatting and vaguely familiar with each other, but we haven't met. So it's great to have you here.
Yeah, lovely to be here.
Chris Battlefield's coming in too.
We got a good crew.
Battenfield, yep.
Oh, I miss Chris. I used to work with him at Consensus.
Hello.
Ah! Hey, handsome. How you been?
Did you get a nice haircut?
Yeah, I actually,
I gotta buzz mine too.
dude, I shaved my head fully bald after my locks.
Oh, I actually asking myself if it was pulled back or shaved. Oh, yeah, awesome. Easy to manage during COVID.
Yeah.
It's a good move.
I grew it out for 2 years and then just that time.
Yeah, I'm still in the growing out phase. I'm going for a mullet. First time in my life.
How long has it been growing?
Oh, it's gotta be close to a year now. It has to be close to a year now. Pretty close. It's probably 9 months, 10 months.
Nice, very cool. How about the beard? Or is the beard as well?
It's a beard as well, about for that same amount of time. I stopped shaving and stopped cutting my hair at the same time. I was like, COVID, it's a good excuse. I can get away with this right now.
Nice.
It also covers my receding hairline pretty nicely too. Balding. That's the goal.
All right. And
You have that someone. I was just on my last call and someone was saying, you don't have to disclose something just because it's true. And I was like, well, that's who I am. And I'm like, well, you didn't have to disclose you have a receding hairline. We would never know. Hey, Kate, how are you?
I'm doing well. It's pretty weird to be talking to you guys at this time.
Yeah, I was curious what time it is in Korea right now.
It's 1 p.m. here.
Whoa, good.
For the first time ever, I'm talking with people in the U.S. at a favorable time for me. And Victor will probably know. He and I we're both in various calls for validator purposes, and it's always late night for me.
Yeah. I mean, it's 11 p.m. for me, so it's not great, but not terrible. There were some calls that were at 3 a.m. and I was like, guys, I love you, but it's not happening. Sorry.
Awesome.
This was a really hard leap, but I think it might be the right path forward.
Yeah, that's exactly what I think was the first topic is I think this worked. This alternating time worked. The only person who's really unfortunate we don't have him here is Phil. It's the only person, but it works better for JK. I definitely think we go to this alternating time. Awesome. So let's start with the kind of new joiners here, people whose first meeting it is. Let's start by just quickly introduce yourself, a little bit about what you do, and that's it. We don't need any interesting facts.
As a matter of fact, it might help if we all introduce ourselves for the benefit of the new people as well.
That's a great idea, Superfizz. Do you want to start?
Me? Yeah. I'm Superfizz. I organize the ETH Staker community. I am an ETH maximalist, and I call myself the Beacon Chain Health Coordinator, and I try to do things consistent with that idea.
Awesome. Pass it off.
Oh, yeah. My apologies. Let's go to Madison.
So my name is Madison. Currently, I'm doing Ethereum and DeFi research at Consensus. I also have a social kind of debate platform for the Ethereum community called the Ether. Victor, go ahead.
Hey folks, Victor Boynan. I lead the protocol operations team at Bison Trails. I help us select which protocols we work on and do a lot of protocol related work such as participate in communities, write content, do governance things, submit proposals, and really find other ways to add value. And then Jun Kim, you want to go next?
Yeah. Hey guys, this is JK. I'm leading strategy and operations at Stakefish. Stakefish is one of the we run validators for Journey 2.0, and we also run validators on Lido. And yeah, really interested in trying to make sure that we go on the right footing when it comes to decentralizing the ETH2 validator space. Next, I'll hand it off to Chris.
Yep. Hey everyone. Yeah, Chris. I was working at Consensus up until recently. I worked on staking products there, and also the E2 Launchpad. Did a bit of product and UX engineering. Kick it off to Anvetica. Hope I pronounced it right.
Yep. Hello, I'm Anvetica, also known as Michael Geeson in the real world. I help out with the eStaker team community with organizing in some capacity and helping out with social media, just being a helping hand, in addition to developing the Ethereum Study Master platform and now the EDDC website and platform. So that's basically it. Here to learn, here to absorb, here to help, and that's about it. Let's hear from JCon.
Hey guys, my name is James Connolly, also known as JCon on Discord. I'm sure I've talked to a bunch of you guys. I'm a finance guy by background, but I've been involved in the Ethereum space for a few years now. And really involved with the ETHStaker community for, I guess, a bit over a year. So I've been involved with some of the deeper due diligence as part of this committee. So yeah, happy to get to know some of the new members, and yeah, welcome guys. So I'll toss it over to Kirk.
Hi, I'm Kirk Dameron. I'm mostly just a lurker here because I retired from Consensus a year and a half ago. Seems like we're getting more Consensus people on this call now. And I did run a couple of validators on Medasha testnet in the summer. Care a great deal about decentralization of the space. I'm actually not running any stakers now. And I have recused from actually making decisions on the staking pool outfit, but I really do care about this kind of a thing and how we have some sort of resource that helps people not be fooled by options they have in front of them as they choose to stake their ETH. And so I've been concerned about some of the long-term things we might do, but I'm not active in the good work that JCon and Phil and others have been doing right now on the staking pools. I think that's everybody, so I don't think I have anybody to throw it to. Good to see you, Victor.
Awesome. So, I'm going to direct our attention now to probably the most important item on our agenda today, which is picking the POAP we are going to use to reward community participants for the survey fill out, etc. So, does anyone remember where I posted this? I thought I posted this in general. Did I post it in general? I really should know this. I saw some people voted. No, I probably posted in further due diligence.
It's in further due diligence.
Perfect. So if everyone can direct their attention to the further due diligence channel, for specifically, first of all, everyone has access, right? Victor, you got access to this?
I have not given Victor access. I need to do that right now, and I'm going to send you a friend request first, Victor.
Okay.
I may have already done that. Are we friends?
I send you one first.
Oh, man. So fast.
Awesome. So Victor will get you in there. We'll wait to close the vote, though. We have a large enough plurality. It's actually an outright majority where I think we can make the decision. It's looking like number 3. We want to thank Superfizz and his. Sorry, I missed it. It's your niece, correct?
Yes, that's right. Small Potato Cat, I think she goes by.
Small Potato Cat. So thank you, Superfizz and Small Potato Cat, for getting the design. It looks like we're going to go with number 3 based on the votes that we have. We'll get that in a finalized form, hopefully within the week, and then we'll start integrating that into our process. So anyone from the community who fills out a survey for their experience with the staking pools, etc., will be incentivized with the POAP. We can also give the POAP to members who volunteer to help with the further due diligence side of this committee, which is by far kind of the most work intensive. So Phil isn't here today, but on behalf of Phil, I want to, kind of just quickly go over the message he posted. I want to direct people to further due diligence right below the POAPs for his update for the committee. He would like subcommittee members who make sure that the spreadsheet he created gets all the necessary information filled in, and at least one other subcommittee member who supports and peer reviews the information. Go ahead. Did anyone speak up? Or was it where I, okay, perfect. He believes that we should create a table with the responsible members and contact persons, as well as the links to the spreadsheets on the GitHub repo, and post it on the EDDC website with interim valuations. Mix up the teams for main responsibility and the peer review role. So this is the further due diligence process is more technical in nature. It's really validating and verifying the information that has been given to us in a questionnaire we send out to the staking pools themselves, in addition to doing some extra research, such as how many times has this staking pool been slashed. And so does anyone here want to kind of volunteer? And what I'll do is I'll mark down the names right now and to keep a track of it. And I will send Phil this list of people who have volunteered so he knows who to call out to.
Just a quick question on the other person that peer reviews the information. What does that mean? Because like we're not trying to evaluate at this point, right? We're just trying to get people to fill it out.
You're trying to get people to fill it out, and you're also trying to fill out that Excel sheet. It's also you as an individual will also be filling out that information and verifying the information that was provided to from the staking pools.
Oh. Okay. I'm happy to ping people to do it, but I guess I definitely would not be the right person to like make sure the staking pools like to do any like information filling out from my end, because I am part of a staking pool, right? So, but I'm happy to like ping people to like get this filled out.
All right.
Yeah, I think that would be really helpful, because I think the intent of the peer review idea is just that for each sort of claim of fact about each pool, we're going to have some evidence linked to that, and just having a second set of eyes for somebody to say like, is that evidence really adequate to justify that claim of fact? The first person might have overlooked something. So if you can reach out to people and say like, is this consistent with your thinking or how you would look at that? That would give us enough to really kind of make that final decision that like we're comfortable saying that this is in fact a well substantiated claim.
Awesome. So we have JK willing to reach out. Is anyone else willing to help out here? I know it's a big ask. I can put my name down as well to help out with Phil where I can.
I'm willing to help, but I'm what's given me pause is I've already got a lot to bite off with the site. So just once that's done, though, I'd be interested in helping out with the backlog of the deeper due diligence. But I'd like to be sort of if no one else actually volunteers, then I can try out. But just want to put that out there.
Yeah. I guess I'm not new, so I'm sorry. I am new, so I'm following not 100%, but somewhere maybe higher than 50. If it's predominantly to paying people to fill it out, I'm happy to do that. I tend to know a lot of these folks that are interested in this kind of stuff. If it's to actually like help provide that like second set of eyes and evaluate evidence, I'm probably not ready to make that commitment yet.
All right. So, JK, Victor, I have you guys down as people who are willing to reach out to others. I'm probably, I'll do what I can to help verify the information. I'm probably not the right guy because I'm probably not technical enough to verify all the information. There's probably a lot of it I could do though. And I'll get back to Phil with this list of names.
Yeah, and Madison, just I assumed it kind of went without saying, but I'm down for that as well. I'm going to continue to work with Phil on the deeper due diligence. So
Yeah, I did assume, but I put down your name as well just to remind Phil.
I feel good that we're preserving Michael's energies for developing the website because that is your specific proficiency, and so that is where I think we benefit most from your energy.
I agree, and same with you for Superfizz of like helping bring the staker community on to like answer questionnaires, etc., like customer feedback. All right, so I think that's it for further due diligence for now. Videos on the website, I think we set a deadline, right? And I think the deadline was this meeting, if I remember correctly.
Yep.
New members, if you want, there's a videos for website section. You can see how other people have done it. You can submit your video there or send it directly to Michael and we'll get it on the website. But I think we have enough videos. I think we have at least 3 or 4 where it's worth just putting it on the website at this point.
Yep, agreed. And this meeting was really good for that too. I can use the intro to this for sort of the big who we are video on the site too.
That's a good idea. That's a very good idea. Yeah, Superfizz with the great idea, intentionally or unintentionally, that we can utilize there. So, all right.
Sorry, I missed what my great idea was, and I want to relish in it for a moment. What?
Yeah, so Michael said, well, let's use the intros that we had at the beginning here for the kind of, hey, what do you guys do in the space on the website? So 2 birds with 1 stone. Michael, do you want to give any updates on the website?
Yeah, is it possible to, do I have sharing privileges?
I think so. Do you tell me, is there a share button at the bottom?
I do have it, but it looks like it's disabled currently.
It's not green for you?
Is it green for other people?
It's green for me.
Who can share? All participants. Who can start sharing? Yeah, who can share? So try it now, Michael.
Okay, yep, that looks like it works. All right, I do have a few questions before I sort of turn the thing on, as it were, for a first draft of the site. I've got the evaluations posted as we've evaluated them in previous meetings. So that means we've posted the staking pool's answers themselves from the questionnaire that we provided, in addition to an edited form of the actually of our meeting, giving the evaluation question by question as to what our initial thoughts were. So with that as sort of the minimum right now, what I want to do is go through a little bit how we want these visually represented in terms of the ratings that I guess the scorings from our meetings. And I'm not sure if we've discussed this, and if we have, I apologize. We can make quick work of it. But the specific question here is, for example, actually, it'd probably help if I have the our spreadsheet up too. But in relation to the red, green, yellow colorations per question, do we want to have some sort of basic weight to each of those questions for an overall numeric score? Or is a 3-color stoplight rating system sufficient for what this is right now without a numerical rating for those evaluations? So I'll sort of pose that question first before we go forward. And these are visually what I'm looking at. So we can be very fine graded in terms of, you know, how granular we represent these things, or if we want just the 3 colors. I'll leave that up to the group.
I want to say first that I came up with the original idea, but I'm not committed or married to it, and I'd really like to let the group take this and run with it.
Well, I have a question. What does what does knowing that someone is a 10 versus that they are a 9 tell you versus as compared to, let's say that they're both green in a single color?
Yeah, so that we would have to sort of have a key, I think. I think that's important to explain these evaluations, and I don't know if we explicitly have that. So, and that's sort of the rationale I was going with here as well. So if we have, for example, say we have 10 evaluations at launch, and 6 of those are overall green rating, well, the variations between those could be vast, it could not be. And so that's why I think the numeric rating fits well in addition to the color to help sort of rate the finer points of the overall quality of whatever the staking pool it is we're evaluating. But I guess in short, to answer your question, I don't have that answer because we haven't sort of agreed on what each respective number and or color means as a rating.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to hear what other folks think. Something like I would be curious, kind of like how to make that visible, and I think having a rubric of some sort is, or having some kind of like scoring criteria that is shared is definitely one way. Another way that you could have like a more numerical thing is, you know, kind of like have, you know, 5 characteristics on a scale of 1 to 10, and 1 being like centralization, 1 is like track record, or, you know, whatever those are. And then have each of those have a value, and then like that boils up to a value so that people can see that it's like, you know, both of them can have like a 9, but like this 9 is because of this and this 9 is because of that. So there's different ways, I think, to do it if we do want to have a numerical value.
Yeah, one suggestion might be to, because some people might just come here and be like, okay, what are the best ones? And then let me get out of here. But some people might want to really dive in, and to serve like both users, you can have these expand, and then expand to like show the further details of what makes this a 10 or what makes this a 9. So they effectively could be accordions. There's a couple of different ways, or many different ways you can represent it. But that's probably just looking at it initially. Maybe the route that I would go.
So we went through question by question and gave it a red, yellow, green based on the question. Is there a way for us to say, you know, instead of it being like 10 points, 5 greens, 4 yellows, 2 reds? Do something like that and break out, and then maybe even a drop down where you click the drop down, and then you get to see these were the questions that they got a green. Here's the questions that they got a yellow. Here's the questions that they got a red. And then also, you know, at the top, some methodology that we utilize for how we kind of chose red, yellow, green for each question. What do you think about that? Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
I'm very interested in the methodology because as I look at this, I think the design is excellent, but I'm having like this I don't know if I want to call it a panic, but I'm like, these aren't exactly how I would have guessed the rankings would look based on our chats. If I could bring up anything specific, it would be something like Staker is above Steakfish, and that I don't know if it's off topic, but it just seems to me like that, Staker having been slashed early on, and Steakfish having an excellent and maybe I'm jumping into something that's not appropriate for this time. I think my overview would be the design looks excellent. I would like to understand more about the methodology as we move forward.
Yeah, I would just to build on what Fizz is getting at, I think, without kind of getting into specifics, is like to get to a score, presumably you have like sub scores and category like weightings and stuff like that. But like slashing events are in a category of things where there's potential like deal breakers, where it's like, I don't really care if you got 10 and everything, if you got 1 in this thing that puts my funds at risk. And so that's just sort of a general challenge of how to like roll things up to a score when potentially there's one thing that can turn like a 9 to a 1 based off of a single category.
Yep. So I completely agree. So my suggestion, let's get rid of the number scores, have the, 3 greens, 3 yellows, 3 reds, or whatever it is, and I would actually, instead of listing them in like descending order, I would list them in alphabetical order. And then another kind of column next to all these kind of red, how many reds, how many greens, how many yellows, how many times has there been a slashing event? And a number there that's separated even from the kind of red, yellow, green. So we're not ranking them. We're just saying this is how many greens they got in our evaluation, our initial evaluation, with asterisks saying we're doing further evaluation still. And then this is also the number of slashing events that have been associated with this pool.
I think our win here is having the design, but the data might need to be more group produced than asking Michael to convert that spreadsheet into something that is consumable. Because I think basically Michael has done a great design, but we need to be certain that the bridge between our due diligence and the design is a well thought out bridge and not an afterthought.
Yeah, I just wanted to voice my support for not having the numbers up front, and maybe colorized grouping and then randomizing the order within at least the like, for example, rocket point staking facilities. Each time you go on the website, it would just be in a random order. I think it incentivizes people to like further dive deeper rather than just like look at 10 and just say, oh, this is the one I'm going to go with. And I draw like examples of what we've seen on other like proof of stake networks, where definitely people just look at the leaderboard and just like see number 1 and they all just like flock towards it. And we definitely don't want to incentivize that.
Yep, so I agree. And by the way, what I can do is I can create, it's not going to be pretty, in a PowerPoint slide, how I'm ordering, how these different, how it wouldn't be a serious redesign. It's literally like moving the 10 perfect closer to the middle and having numbers in the little boxes that are different colors. I can, create a PowerPoint slide with that, so you have a better idea of what I'm talking about. And then I can post it in the Discord channel. What do you guys think about that for next steps?
Is there value in having a separate category for pools that have had slashings?
Yes, and so and I'll show this in the design. I actually don't even think it. I think it should be, instead of a category, it's like how many times is there evidence of this pool being slashed, and it's a number. So 5, 2, 0, 0, 0, 3, etc. I think it should be its own standalone thing. red, yellow, green.
May I speak?
Yes.
My issue with that is, so I want to walk a fine line here because I do support staking pools in general. Even it's like I support independent staking pools. For anyone who watches my personal stuff, I talk a lot about Rocket Pool, and I make no secret that I'm a fan of Rocket Pool. So I don't want to sway toward them. But when it comes to counting slashed validators, because of the decentralized nature of Rocket Pool, a slashing there is not necessarily the same as a slashing by a centralized operator. So because 1,000 people are individually running their validator nodes, anyway, that's enough talking about it. It's just something we need to acknowledge and be aware of as we begin identifying slashes per pool.
Matt Madison.
Sorry, I was muted. Kirk.
Yeah, I think there's one other thing that's at least worthy for you all to think about. I put it out only as process, not in rating anybody. We've all been bugged by one particular pool having been slashed not once, but apparently 3 times. But I wonder if we have some pools that somehow get in our ratings that we really don't know a lot about, and they're slashed and people lose all their money, versus ones that have either insurance and or are willing to take a capital hit and recover that for their customers. I don't know how you reflect that, but it seems like there's a big difference between those 2 classes. And I think you all as a committee ought to think about that. Does it make a difference? At least isn't stakers saying they're refunding all that? Does that make a difference in how we show a rating for them versus if we have a run-of-the-mill pool we don't know much about, we don't know who these people are, etc., but they've been slashed and we think, yeah, maybe it's not a rug pull, but nobody's ever going to see that money. Does that make a difference? That's the question.
James?
Yeah, guys, I just want to direct everybody. I posted like a sort of draft of a sort of slashing incident report card on the Discord. So if you guys want to take a look at that, I'd really appreciate any feedback or criticism on that, because I think what Kirk's saying is really important, and the point that Fizz raised is really important around, like, not all slashings are created equal. The dynamics of the pool are different, the insurance situations are different, and the way that they handle them is potentially very different. And so I kind of took a crack at putting together something where we can have sort of a set of objective standards that we're measuring these by. So if you guys want to take a look at that and provide feedback, and then maybe we can figure out how we roll it up to be a bit more, a little bit more concise, because I think that is important to not just kind of lump them all together as though it's always the same thing.
Yeah, so
Which
Sorry.
I'm not seeing it.
I think I posted it in, I forget which channel I posted it in, sorry. Anyways, I'll repost the link to it in general. I think it's probably in either further due diligence or evaluation criteria, but I'll repost the link again.
So while he's looking for that, I did want to second that. I do think that there is a lot of value in encouraging staking pools to provide incident reports on what happened, for everybody to learn from, but also people to understand kind of how the mistake was made, which I think reveals a lot. I think for me personally, we've put out an incident report on some downtime that we had on Celo, which was significant for us at the time. And reading the staked incident report and their slashing, I was pretty horrified as to how it went down. And I think a lot of value could be derived from everybody providing their incident reports, because that gives a lot of insight into their operations. Something else I want to bring up, but I know thank you for posting that. I know that I'm very new here, but I wanted to share some of our experience on Cello specifically, in that they had a this like assessment by the Cello Foundation where it was like optional, but you could go through essentially like a security or technical due diligence with this outside person that they brought in that would create a rubric, and based off of that, if you got like a high enough score over a certain like amount, that you were considered like you got like a secure validator badge or master validator or whatever it was. Um, but the challenge there for us was that we don't run our infrastructure in the way that a lot of other people do, and that we've built this like pretty automated distributed platform that, you know, like it's we treat things as very ephemeral, versus like if you are running a checklist, and you might treat things as very like you want for it to be like located in like one very secure place, as opposed to us like we move things around all the time, and so like we get points knocked off there. And I think that when I look at these scores, the advice that I usually give to protocol teams that are interested in them is that what you want is you want to show like a quick view of the nuance for the strengths and weaknesses of a particular operator or a particular operation, rather than assigning them like a value, because the criteria will never be perfect for everyone, right? Because all the operators are so different. The way they do things is probably going to be different. But making the but surfacing up that nuance of like the strengths and weaknesses, and then allowing people to dive deep, like is like kind of accomplishes that goal without necessarily giving them an exact number. So I think something like that might be something you guys would be interested in. Like actually, and as one example, like Rocket Pool is a great example in that, like, yes, they're super decentralized, and I'm super excited for what they're doing, but like, frankly, if I were to stake with anyone, I would stake with Stakefish over Rocket Pool, because they have many years in operation. They run a lot of networks. They have a really strong team of engineers. Like they've been proven to be like very reliable across a ton of like very difficult situations. And so, but like Rocket Pool obviously has an advantage of being like super decentralized. And so I don't think it's necessarily like 100% accurate to rank Stakefish like much lower than Rocket Pool, given that Rocket Pool doesn't have that that track record in the same way. So just something to think about from like a strengths and weaknesses perspective.
Yeah, and I think a great thing is we'll have to find it for you, Victor, is the rubric for how we evaluated them and the questions we evaluated them on. And I think I think there's definitely consensus here. We shouldn't do a ranking by like first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh. It's just going to be a list here: 4 reds, 4 greens, 3 yellows, whatever. Pull down. Here's what the reds, yellows, and greens were for each category, and people can kind of make their own decision based on that. I think the ranking we can get into trouble for.
And very importantly, randomized on every load.
Agreed.
Yeah. Cool. Thank you, guys.
Awesome. I'll design. I'll make that up in PowerPoint. I'll post it in the Discord, and we can go from there. Sound good, Michael? Awesome.
Can we get Michael's feedback on our feedback? I just, because on one hand, I know that Michael put a ton of work onto this, and I know it's going to be a long-term project. What do you hear?
What do I hear? So I think this is a good coming full circle from the last meeting. This is a good first step in just getting the EDDC's initial thoughts out there in terms of content. Going forward, to make sure that we're not muddying the waters any more than doing more harm than good in terms of what the EDDC is. That means to sort of refine how the data is digested and relayed to a respective end user who is interested in soliciting a staking pool service, and that the information that's relayed to that end user is first and foremost accurate, and that it's not inflating any one answer based on how it's designed, whether that be by a point system or colors or how we have everything organized. So for me, in terms of like an actual to-do list, It's a matter of first, I am going to wait for Madison and anyone else who's interested in terms of a rough compile of a layout, but we'll work on first making a more accurate representation of what a landing page would represent in terms of a scoring system. And then for the sub pages, meaning an actual individual evaluation page of a staking pool, it should be a little bit more in depth. So instead of just having the evaluation questionnaire, we will have, it should be everything. It should be a baseball card for that staking service, who they are, where they're from, slashings, news. I mean, I should basically get a top-down view of exactly what this pool is, and be pretty confident or not confident in soliciting their service based on that evaluation. Is the long and short of kind of what I'm getting here.
Awesome. Yeah. I'm on the same page. And obviously, we don't want you doing work and change this, change that, and all of a sudden it becomes this whole shebang. I totally, I understand that. I think we won't get to that situation for sure. This is actually, so I looked at it briefly. It's gorgeous. I didn't tell you that, but because I couldn't see it in the last meeting. It is truly stunning. The banner stunning, the color scheme. It's very clean looking. I think it looks really, really nice. Very, very, future and still pristine and professional.
Appreciate it. Admittedly, that is where a little bit of the attention maybe took focus, and kind of why we have maybe a bit of a void to fill in terms of the layout for the evaluation. So I apologize for that. That's just the
your job is the designer.
So gets distracted.
So
yeah. But no, I'll note it though. This
role.
is just the process. So I'm not discouraged by anything here at all. This is just this part of the game. So I'm also, just to make a real quick note, I don't want to take up too much time here for everyone, but I plan on having very progressive updates. So week to week now, meeting to meeting, we should have very tangible, like this is updated now, this is updated now, and this. And I should actually, what I'll do in addition, I'll compile a list of like milestones to complete by next meeting so we can review those and make sure that we're actually making progress and going that route. So
as an idea, a change log might be great for if we're changing frequently for people who are going to be drive-by if they haven't visited in a week or a month, if they can check out your change log.
Yep, great call. I've got that noted right here. Thank you.
Awesome. And do we have that message at the bottom that says these are preliminary?
No. What I want to do is, well, actually, let me pose that to the group. So do we feel confident in if I strip off the color and numerical ratings for now and we just post the evaluations that we've received from staking pools, along with the video recording of all of our evaluations for the respective pools, is that okay to post and make live, or do we want to wait until we have a rating system in place, or have the rating updated in terms of the categories like green and yellow and red?
I'm pro, this is just my opinion, and I'm pro just getting what we have on there and then having a asterisk and making sure we have that asterisk at the bottom. These have not been verified by us. These have been the answers that have been provided to us by these staking pools. Something along those lines, like a disclaimer. But I'm okay with having them posted, and then once we get the kind of the design and everything ready to have the kind of evaluation layer on top, we get that going. What do you guys think about that?
I'd like to offer JK a chance to speak up, because one of the things that I felt was that I didn't personally didn't feel like Stakefish's ranking was equitable, and so I would just like to hear, and maybe it is. It's just my my first blush. I would like to hear his perspective on it.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't speak to it because it seems like while we're okay with like the preliminary sort of evaluation everyone did, like I wasn't part of that, so like I can't opine on it too much, but it seemed like you guys were comfortable with it. So I don't want to like entirely like discard the work that has gone through that, the reasoning that has gone through that. But it does seem like there's differing opinions on how evaluations should be done. So I guess I'm comfortable with where it's at as long as the information reflected there is accurate. But yes, it'd be great if we could like revise evaluations as we like move forward, move towards like the finalization of the scoring system or whatever system that we're gonna finalize on.
Awesome. Awesome. Are there any other topics that anyone wanted to bring up? Because those are the main topics for today's meeting.
I did not have this topic walking in, but maybe it's something you guys want to think about. Are you planning on doing like regular reviews or updates of these scores?
So we're definitely going through the further due diligence. We haven't talked about consistent reviews. I think that would make sense because things do change. What do people think about that? Like maybe quarterly reviews?
Well, I'm wondering what the process would be like in the event of, I know that there is a card for if there is an incident, but like what would the process be for, all of a sudden somebody gets slashed pretty bad again, and what would be the process to update the scores for that?
That would be instantaneous. That representation would be instantaneous for the larger framework for the kind of yellow, red, green ratings. That's what I was suggesting would be more quarterly.
Gotcha. Well, and I guess maybe just one last question on that. So the red, yellow, green ratings, that would be quarterly, or that would be updated instantaneously based on slashing, or is the slashings independent of the score?
Slashing is independent. It's not so. It's less of a score, more of like we ask these questions. We rate. There's a red, green, yellow based on the answers. Here's the amount of reds. Here's the amount of yellows. Here's the amount of greens, and then separate to that, here's the number of times that the staking pool's been slashed. Maybe for things that are more decentralized, that kind of are more in the control of users, like Rocket Pool, there's an addendum there or an asterisk, etc. But that number of how many times it's been slashed would be constantly updated.
Gotcha.
And Superfizz mentioned that tool that he uses that updates him on the slashings that we could also use in this process.
Yeah, may I follow up on that quickly?
Absolutely.
So I put out a call for the runner of that bot, and it's not someone that I know personally, but he did reach back out to me. I suggested that we were interested in adding qualifying information to those slashings to give end users sort of some peace or comfort about what is causing the slashings. And the bot runner said that he would be glad to fill in that context after a slashing and after the, I guess, the origin is more known. So I feel like that's definitely positive progress, and kind of excited about it.
I'm sorry, which bot is this?
It is the the slashing bot. It's a Telegram and Discord bot that I know it on Telegram. It sends notifications anytime there's a slashing, usually at 2 a.m. And it's I'll get the link and share it. And can we go ahead and try and share that in the footer for this YouTube video when we post it, just because it is a very useful tool, especially knowing that we're going to include context with it. And I'm sorry that I don't know the name right off the top of my head.
Awesome. Yeah, I think we could definitely do that. And we can post it in the Discord as well. Any other topics that people want to bring up? We got about 8 minutes in case anyone's got anything else.
So I have the name of that bot. It's on Telegram. It's ETH2/. I'm not a frequent Telegram user, so I don't actually know how to connect with that, but that's the name of it.
Thank you.
Awesome. If people don't have any other topics to bring up, I'll make that PowerPoint slide for the slight changes to the design for Michael. I'll get back to Phil with the list of people who have offered to help more, just gather information versus to kind of help them do the deep dives and the due diligence. I do think that's going to be a pain point. I just want to acknowledge that right now. I think Phil's definitely still going to be looking for help to do that further due diligence. It's just a lot to ask for one person. I'll obviously help him where I can, but just let's all keep that in mind. And if we know other people who might be able to help him with that, etc., I know he'd appreciate it. Awesome. So thank you guys so much.
Thank you for.
Thank you, guys.